In today's episode, we are going to be talking about motherhood and specifically, which mom type are you? I absolutely adore being a mother. I think it's incredible and so fun, and I adore my children, and I love spending time with them now that they are 14 and 10. They are literally two of my favorite people in the world. They're my best friends. I love to chat with them. I love to hang out with them. I love to go out to dinner with them and travel with them. I was just telling them on Mother's Day that I feel so blessed that my housemates are my three favorite people in the world, my husband and my two kids. And it's just so fun that they're these ages now. And I actually really loved the baby phase, although I was really not in good shape with not getting sleep. That I didn't do well with that. But I love babies because they're cute and they're cuddly and they're so sweet. They're so sweet. But there were some years in there that were really fucking boring. And I am not going to sugarcoat that. I do not like playing board games. I do not like playing make-believe. I do not like doing art projects. I do not like playing games. I do not like running around outside. I just don't enjoy being that kind of playful mom. I just don't. I never have, and I never will. It is just not who I am. And I realized that I am a no play mom. I am a mom who just doesn't enjoy playing. And of course, I felt guilt around this. I felt shame around it. Felt like, what's wrong with me? But the more that I would talk about this when my kids were younger, the more I had other moms thanking me for saying it out loud because it made them feel so much less guilty. It made them feel less ashamed. It made them feel like there was nothing wrong with them. And I do think it is important for us to talk about that we are not all the same. We do not all enjoy doing all the same things. And it doesn't make us any less good moms. So I love a framework. So I have come up with a framework that I think is helpful for us to think about motherhood. And while I don't believe that we have to live in boxes, I think that is really problematic with where we are in the world right now by putting people into boxes and in opposition. So that's not what this is about. But I do know that a framework can be helpful for learning about different prototypes, learning about ourselves, and understanding what pieces of ourselves we see in different prototypes. Because when I would talk about this, I would also hear from moms that loved to play with their kids and couldn't possibly understand why it was so hard. I actually did get some nasty comments at one point, and those same moms often struggle when their kids get older because they don't love talking about sex, drugs, and rock and roll with their kids. That feels really uncomfortable. That's not where they shine. So in my experience, there are four main types of moms. So let's get into it. You've got your play moms. You've got your teacher achievement moms. You've got your chill moms. And you've got your structured moms. And as I'm talking through these, obviously, we all have pieces of each of them in us. And maybe you're someone who balances them all perfectly. And that's incredible for you. So play moms, as I said, are the opposite of me. They love to play with their children. They get on the floor. They pretend to be princesses or kings. They love to do arts and crafts projects. They tend to be super creative. They just love the joy and playfulness of childhood. And I so admire them because those years, those toddler years, I think even if you are a playful mom, are so hard. They're so physically demanding. You really can lose yourself in being a mom to toddlers. And so for the moms who love that type of play, I think it makes those years easier. And I really admire that. Then we have our teacher moms, and those are moms who focus on their children's accomplishments and really challenge them to be their best because they themselves love to learn and are academically focused. And so for them, it is super fun to teach their kids how to master a new skill. And they would rather spend their time teaching their kids and helping them develop a skill, maybe through sports or some competitive academic outlet rather than play with them. And they engage through this knowledge transfer. These might even be your homeschool moms. And that's also amazing. They get to find pleasure in their kids through seeing them learn and master something. These are also the moms that probably love helping their kids do homework. Again, I am not raising my hand for that one. I will do it because it is some nice bonding time, especially like reading to my kids or testing them on spelling words. But I don't love doing homework with my children. There, I said it. Then there are the chill moms that take everything in stride and they are flexible and they enjoy seeing their kids take the reins and lead. And they don't want to be forceful in the direction that they give. And they'd prefer if their child makes as many decisions for themselves as possible. And this is an incredible way to build independence in children, right? I always say you can't teach your children independence. You can model it for them, and then you can give them responsibility and allow them to rise to the occasion. But you can't sit down and teach someone independence. It's something they have to learn for themselves. And so a lot of these chill moms actually raise children that are very independent. And then there are structured moms. And I would put my mom persona in this category. And I feel like I shine in teaching my kids life skills of discipline and independence and resilience. And I've done this by modeling the behavior, but really focusing with them on the benefit to themselves and their lives of having structure and strong executive functioning skills. And, for just a bit of clarity, one of my children in particular does not have strong executive functioning skills by nature. One of them does. So this is definitely something that can be taught and nurtured. And I have done this by showing my kids that there is a way of being in the world that allows you to control what is in your control. And it gives you so much time and energy and freedom to sort of build up that resilience to deal with the things that are out of your control. And it's never about perfection. It is always about the benefits, not about showcasing how perfectly you can follow a routine and how great you can make your bed. It's not about that at all. It's about all of the benefits that you get to welcome into your life. And having children now that are 10 and 14 and that are structured and disciplined in these ways allows us to have so much more fun and, bring in that chillness when we are hanging out. And I think this is the thing that has bonded us. And I think because my children can see that I am non-judgmental about this, that I really want them to adopt these habits for the benefit of their lives. And I want them to have pleasure-filled lives. They are so open with me and chat with me about what's going on in their lives. And they'll come to me seeking help creating a solution for something that might not be working for them because they know that a big piece of independence and discipline is problem solving. And I can help them do that together. Now, of course, there are pieces of all of these types of moms that I showcase. I'll paint my daughter's nails. That's playful. And there are definitely areas in which I do feel like I help my kids learn things and achieve. I would say like the chill mom type is probably one that I don't really touch upon so much. Although that's not true. As my kids are getting older and they're bringing me stories about things that are happening with their friends, I think I am able to approach it from a much chiller perspective than I would have had I not seen how disciplined and resilient my kids are. Like it gives me peace of mind knowing that they have great skills in dealing with all the things that come with adolescence and young adulthood because of these skills that I've given them. And no matter what prototype of mom you are, there are incredible benefits to what you are giving your children. I mean, I'm obviously talking most about the one that I put myself in the category because that's the one I know most intimately. But there are incredible benefits to all of these types of mothering. And of course, there are areas where each of us would like to be stronger. But instead of focusing on the areas where we're lacking, I think it is so much more beneficial to our kids and to ourselves in just focusing on the areas where we are strong. So, of course, I felt guilty over all of the things that my mothering style lacked in the beginning. Every now and then, I will still get caught up in it. If one of my kids asked me to like go play outside with them, I really don't want to do it. And I don't often say yes if I don't want to. The other thing is I'm trying to teach my kids that I am not their playmate, that it's so good for them to be able to be by themselves, like fill that time, because so much of our kids' time is filled with noise, right? Devices and TV and friends and pressures. Like, go be outside, go have some alone time. I'll take a walk around the block with you, but I'm not necessarily going to play outside. And I really try not to feel guilty about that. I mean, I think it is still hard to say that out loud because you know that people are judging you, but let them judge, because show me a perfect mother. There is literally none out there. And at the same time, we're all perfect because we're doing the best we can and we love our kids. And truly, all our kids need is to be loved and seen. And when we lean into where we shine as a mother and we don't waste time feeling guilty and wishing we were different, then we can have all of that affection and energy to be with our kids. And I know that I shine not by playing with my kids and being able to help them with their homework, but by giving them incredible hugs and being very physically affectionate and being non-judgmental when they talk to me about anything they want. I know I shine through teaching my kids structure and routine and how to be disciplined. And the more that we lean into our strengths, the more joy we get out of our kids. Guilt truly is a waste of energy. So think about, for you, where are the areas that you shine? And you might be like, I shine in all of these, and that's incredible. And you might be feeling like, I'm failing at all of it. And believe me, there are times when I feel like that as well, but it's just simply not true. Where are the ways that you're like, this is where I hit it out of the park? My daughter has beautiful hair. And she came down from getting ready the other day and had these like beautiful braids in her hair. I was like, oh my God, tell your friends that I did that. She had done it herself. She's 10 years old. I don't know why. I'm like, I can't do hair. I'm not a good braider. So she was like, I'm not telling them that, which obviously I didn't want her to lie. I was just kidding. I wanted to take credit for her beautiful braids. So maybe you are someone who does beautiful hairstyles, or you pick out great matching clothing for your children, or you make amazing home cooked meals, which is also something I don't do, right? So don't listen to the things that I'm saying. These are the things where I shine, but where are the areas that you shine? Because we are not all doing all the things. We are just not. And I think the more that we can be honest about the things that we're not doing, the more we liberate other mothers to recognize that nobody's doing it all, but we can all focus on our strengths. And we can also learn from each other. We can borrow from other types of moms. So if you feel like your kids could benefit from more structure, here are some things that you can start doing with your kids. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I want more of that, let me give you some tips of things that you could do. So we have a very strong morning routine where the kids get up on their own with their own alarms. And this took some time for them to have to get themselves up. So they would set their alarms, but we would also just double check, reinforce that they actually got up until their bodies got into the habit of getting up. Sometimes we often we still check that they're getting up. And they make their beds. They no longer pick out their outfits the night before because this is no longer a pain point at their ages. But when they were younger, we used to have them pick out their outfits the night before, despite their protests and grumbling. It's just one of those things that made the morning go so much more smoothly. We pack lunches the night before. So then, making beds, getting dressed, coming down for breakfast, packing up their lunch is super quick and easy because the snacks are in their lunchbox, and pulling the lunch out of the fridge becomes easy for them. They fill up their water bottles. So they know what the expectations are for themselves in the morning to get out of the house quickly. Our after school routine is kids come home, they unpack their backpacks, they put their shoes away, they repack lunches for the next day, and they do their homework before they consume any TV or devices. Yes, I am a mom that lets their kids watch TV daily. If everything else is done, I don't see a problem with it. And as I mentioned, we also have a nighttime routine where the kids used to pick out their clothes the night before. They don't have to do that anymore. But around the same time, we have our kids get ready for bed, make sure their alarms are set for the next day, make sure backpacks are packed so that they can ease into sleep, but also then wake up the next morning knowing that they'll be able to get out of the door smoothly. So those are just a few tips. So there are if you're listening to, my mom prototype and you're like, I don't want to be that type of mom, but it would be nice to get out of the house more smoothly in the morning, or it would be nice to have the kids' bedtime routine be a little bit more smooth. Take those tips from me. And if there are things that you see in other prototypes for moms, try them on. Maybe you have never enjoyed being playful, but you're like, maybe now that life feels a little bit more manageable because I've been listening to the Get Organized for Good podcast, my life and my house are more organized. Maybe I do want to be a little bit more playful. Try that on. Or, maybe you want to engage in learning something new with one of your kids and teach it to them, right? There are things that we can take from each of these prototypes to round out the type of mother we are, if we feel like it would be beneficial to us, and not that we are doing it because we have something to prove or because we need to be better. Do it if you feel like it will make your life and your motherhood more enjoyable. Take what works for you and leave the rest. So I posted on my Instagram account questions that people had over motherhood or mom guilt, and I want to touch on a few things that came up. So one person said, I have guilt over self-care. And if you've been here for a while, you know that I love self-care. I take it very seriously. And I had read a statistic recently, which I actually don't love this statistic, but I'm going to share it. It says our children's success is directly correlated to a mother's happiness. And what I don't love about this is there are mothers that suffer from chronic depression. There are mothers who are in unhappy situations that are out of their control. And I feel like this puts an unnecessary pressure on mothers being happy. So I want to caveat this by saying that, because I just think that feels a little bit unfair. But on the flip side, for those of us who feel like are living in healthy, happy situations where our mental health is under control, knowing that this is a data point that's out there, how then satisfying, how much permission do you feel like you have to go do some self-care? Because if our kids' success is correlated to how happy we are, it stands to reason that we should do things to make us happy. And I really do lean into this from the perspective of, I know that I yell less. I am so much more patient. I am so much more fun to be around when I have taken care of myself. So does it mean that I have less time with my kids when I am taking time out that I could be with them to go to a beauty appointment or take a really long bath? It does. Of course it does. It takes time away from them. But then when I am with them, I am the best version of myself that I can be. And so for me, it is worth it. And I know for my kids, it is worth it also. So as you are feeling guilty over self-care, if you keep in the back of your mind or in the front of your mind, not even the back of your mind, put it in the front of your mind that you will show up in the moments you're with them as a happier version of yourself, as someone who's able to be more connected with them, it makes you feel like not only not guilty about self-care, but it's like, oh my gosh, this is highly motivating to go do some things that make us feel good. So think about that one, friend. Okay. Someone asked, how do I remind myself it's okay to not show up for every game? Here is the deal. Our kids love when we show up for them. Of course they do. They want to know that there's someone who cares about what they're doing, who's cheering them on, who loves them. And it's so great when we can. And there's the reality of life that logistically, we're not going to be able to make it to every game. And sometimes that means like you physically can't get there because you have to take another child to do something. Or maybe it just means you have so much going on that day. That game is far away. This is a game that your partner's going to take the kid to, and you're just not going to go. You're going to do other things. And maybe those other things are sit on the couch and rest, because my previous point, right? Because sometimes we need to prioritize ourselves. And I'm sure there are some people listening to this like, oh my gosh, you are such a selfish mother, blah, 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 blah. Okay. You can go take that elsewhere, because my kids feel loved. They know how much they are loved. And I get to show up in this world because I am also a human being. I am a person who gets to fill my own cup and think about what makes me feel really good. So there are plenty of games for my son that I miss. And if it's a game that's really important to him, he knows that if he asks me to be there, I will. He knows I'm not going to be at every single one. And, in particular, I go to home games that are close, that are at convenient times where I don't have to be taking my daughter elsewhere. And he will ask me, Mom, can you come to this game? And I will say yes. And then it's so meaningful to him for me to be there. And I do not feel guilty missing the games. I might have that twinge in the moment if he asks me, like, are you coming? Not will you be there, right? It's not an ask of can you come, but just are you going to be there? In that moment, I do feel a twinge of, guilt, or I feel bad that the answer is going to be no. But then I know when I do show up, it's even that much more meaningful. We can't do all the things for all the kids all the time. We just cannot. And nor do we have to. That is not, when we became mothers, we didn't sign every single ounce of ourself away. We signed on to love our children and to provide for them and care for them and build them into independent, beautiful human beings who will go out and make a positive contribution on the world and teach people kindness. But there also is the reality of lessons that they're not always going to have someone right by their side. And that doesn't mean that you don't love them, right? I think it's so important for our kids to learn all the ways in which we love them. And it doesn't mean doing every single thing for them all the time. Okay. And the last question that I got in is balancing being a mom, a daughter, and a doctor. I never feel like it's about me. And here is the thing, friend. It's never going to be about you, ever, 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 unless you make it about you. It's just never going to be about you. That is the reality. When you are a mom, nobody's thinking about you. When you are a daughter, if you have aging parents, they're not thinking about you. As a doctor, your patients aren't thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. So that's okay. That's how it should be. And that is why it is so, so important that you make it about you. Do that self-care. Say no to showing up to those games. Say no. Say no as much as you need to fill yourself up. You can be an amazing mom, an amazing daughter, an amazing doctor, an amazing friend, and not say yes to every single thing that everybody else wants. Because where do you come in? Where do you come in? You have to make it about you. And if people want to call you selfish, I've shared this before. For me, it is very triggering to be called selfish, or it was, until I realized that, first of all, this is not being selfish. This is nurturing the human being that you are so that you can show up as the best mom, daughter, and doctor that you can be. Because if you're burnt out, you don't do anyone any good. But the other piece of it is I realized, okay, if it were selfish, which it's not, but if it were, who gives a fuck? Okay, so I'm selfish. I would rather be selfish than rageful and resentful and mean and snippy and all the things that truly I become when I don't take care of myself. Like I can be all those things. I can be rageful and I can yell and I can be mean and I can be, say things that I don't actually mean because I'm not filling up my own cup. So if you are selfish, like let's just say that you are, who cares? Is that really the worst thing to be? Like it's become so demonized and like, women, especially people pleasers, and we want to be nice and we want to be appreciated and we want to be respected and think I'm so great. And I'm not being flippant about that. Like I lived so many years of my life like that, but it's been ingrained in us that we shouldn't be selfish. And so then we've come to justify all these things as not being selfish. And I don't think they are, but if they are, who cares? So you're selfish. All right. Guess what? You can be selfish and still be the best freaking mother around. You can still be the best daughter, so dedicated. You could be the doctor that everyone wants to go see. And oh, hey, guess what? You're also a little bit selfish. Great. Good for you. Wear it like a crown and a badge of honor. So let's reclaim that. Again, I don't think any of that behavior is selfish, but even if it is, like, let's take the power away from that criticism. Call me selfish all you want. Call me a bad mother. Call me any of these things. I know who I am at my core. So it doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks of me. So you have permission to take care of yourself, to lean into where you shine as a mother, to maybe see where you might learn things from other mother prototypes. But at the end of the day, just put down the guilt. It is not doing you any good. It's not doing anyone any good. Embrace who you are, wear it proudly, and know that you are the best damn mother around. Your kids they wouldn't trade you for any mother in the entire world, even if they might say they would in the moment. And believe me, one of my kids wanted to move into her friend's house because the mom was so cool. I was not offended. So they may joke about it, but at the end of the day, our kids would not trade us for the world. They think we are the best moms around. And so it's time that we feel that also, because you truly are incredible. And I want you to feel that way, friend. So go have an amazing day because you are amazing.